personal vlog. I'm not really the editor right now. Right now I'm going to play a video game. And I think that'll be better than me just sitting and talking for a while. Minecraft. Because I like Minecraft. And I was going to play this anyway. This is what I do on my days off. This is one of the games that I'm playing. It is a modded Minecraft. It is a mod pack called All the Mods. And specifically this is number 8. But especially when I'm doing repetitive or more boring things, I can just kind of drift off and not worry about it, which is exactly what we're going to do today. Because I did not record a personal vlog the other day. I will go ahead and warn you, if you try to focus on me up in the corner there, this webcam does something funny. It likes to focus by going blah, 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 blah. I should not have done that. Okay, it seems to be fine. It does that. It starts focusing, and it's autofocus. The way it autofocuses is by going very far and very close rapidly. It's quite annoying, but it works. And it's 4K, so I can record that kind of stuff when I'm doing my normal thing. So, for Minecraft, I'm just going to put this on. It's kind of in the background. I usually would be watching something, listening to a podcast, or watching Parks and Rec has been my video of choice, but this is a personal vlog. I did not record the other day when I usually do when I went out, because it was kind of late. I wound up going later than I expected with the daylight savings time, and I was just kind of tired at the end of it, but I do try to record these, maybe not every week, but as often as I go out. And so this is kind of a test. I talked about it in a bit in a Patreon-only audio that I do, where I just ramble into the microphone even more so than usual, but completely off topic. And so the test is to see whether or not this will work, because if I'm too focused on the game, if I can't keep, my thoughts in order, I don't always do that anyway, but if I do it even less than normal, then it's not really going to work. So we're going to test it out, and we're going to see. On the personal side of things, I have been playing Minecraft. This is one of the things that I like to play, this modded Minecraft pack. It's called All the Mods 8. I don't think I said that. I just started recording a minute ago, and then I lost my train of thought, and so I started over, and I think I said what this was in the other recording, and not this one. We'll hope so. Oh boy. Anyway, since the last time we went out, it has been a little bit. I went out on Saturday. It's a Monday right now, which I got my editing done for today. I went ahead and shot a couple of videos for the Capitalism Hoe, is what I call it. Ooh, I would like you to mind. I got a couple of those done. I don't feel like editing any of those today, and thankfully the personal vlog doesn't require any editing anyway. Well, I'm not going to say it doesn't require it. It probably could benefit from it, but it doesn't get it. So I thought this would be more interesting than just sitting in front of a camera and talking, and I could accomplish two things at once, hopefully. I think I already explained why. Anyway, the point is, there isn't a point. That's the point. It's personal vlogging, and why not play a video game during it? I think I've well established what I'm doing here, and I can move on to talk about something else. What games have I been playing? So I've been playing, I talked about it the last time I went out, and I did take last weekend off, which is why I don't remember how long it's really been, but I completed the video game that I was playing, Hogwarts Legacy. Fantastic game. The best game set in the Harry Potter universe that I've ever played. And I basically finished it. I finished it in February still. We're now on the 20th of March, so it's been a little bit. Or did I finish it towards the beginning of March? I don't remember the exact date that I finished the campaign, but then I went, well, I'm not done yet. There's more to do. I will continue playing and try to get all the achievements and 100% all the collectibles. There's so many collectibles in that game. But I couldn't quite do all of that. I did as far as I could. I think Oh, did I check it? I think it was like 85 hours in total that I put into that game, which plenty of time. Really enjoyed it. Fantastic game. I actually don't know how long I put. Can I tell? I've been doing both, right? I play. Let's see. I thought there was some way in here. How is it? Oh, statistics. There it is. Distance done. Blah. All of this. There should be something in here. Time played. 2.42 days. Is that? Yeah, that would be 48. Okay, yeah. I started this. I do this every once in a while. I've been playing these mod packs specifically. I'll jump around depending on which one I'm playing, but depending on what it is, I play it every couple of months or years, whenever I think about it. And this specifically was one that I started back around Christmas because I remember playing it while we were doing like live streaming with the family, and we were just playing games together and then playing games separately and just being on headset and on a video call. And at one point I just started streaming my game, and I was playing this Minecraft. And so I've been playing it for about 3 months now, just on weekends. It's not my usual everyday game, and I'm really enjoying it. I get oh, I get far enough in on these ones to the point where I go, okay, I don't have an engineering degree, and now it's confusing. And I mean, I could do an entire video series on this but other people have done that, and I don't know enough about what I'm talking about to be able to fully describe everything in here. It was one of the games that I played at some point, back in the day, a modded Minecraft. It really, for me, I will talk on it for a minute. How about that? Because I've already started. I started playing Minecraft when it launched, thanks to a friend of mine who bought it when it was in beta and said, "Hey, you can use my login. This game is awesome. You should play it." And so I started playing it on his login on my laptop back in 2011. Is that when it launched and was in beta? I think so. So 2011, I start playing it, and it's unlike any other game I've ever played. And back then, it was so open and so mysterious. This was before anything. I mean, it was in beta. It was brand new, so there wasn't like it's not the way it is now. The vanilla, as they call it, Minecraft, which is just the original one. And I don't really play that one much anymore. I only really play that if I'm playing with my siblings or something, and that's all they have because most of them don't have computers. Well, didn't. They do now, and I'm trying to get them to play this with me because it's so much fun. It restores that original feeling. The beta of Minecraft back in the day required you to, I mean, you could look it up probably if you could find where other people were talking about it on a forum. I didn't do that at that time. I wasn't really looking things up. I was just playing the game. So learning the crafting patterns, right? Like for Minecraft, you've got a grid of go away. You've got a grid of usually it's bigger when you have a crafting table, and you have to find, or not find, you have to build the things in the grid by putting things in the objects. Now, if you've played on Xbox or anything since then, you know that they've really kind of done away with that, which was, I really enjoyed that. That was something cool where I was like, oh, what can I, like, I remember discovering for the first time how you make a sword, and it was just by putting in objects into this grid in different patterns because it had to be exact, and seeing what it would make. The discovery of that, the unknowingness, was really, really cool. That's something that it's hard to replicate that because nowadays games don't really do that, right? It's not that they're boring, but you don't have as much time to just explore. I don't have the same time like I did. I used to play that game almost nonstop. Um, Gosh, I think about how much time I put on original Minecraft. I would lose so much time. I remember specifically taking my laptop with me most places so I could play it. I was working at a theater for the summer, and there was an event where they were like, all right, it's a hurry up and wait situation. So we're going to set up. You're going to be there. You have to be, you're the technician. So you are just on call, but, well, not on call, because on call would be if you weren't actually there. You're there in case they need you. For the most part, you just set up and then you sit and you wait until showtime. And so I brought my laptop, and I remember playing Minecraft there, waiting for things to get started for this band that was going to play that had rented out the theater. Um, I remember playing it there quite fondly. I remember taking it home and setting up in order to play it multiplayer, because multiplayer did exist, but there wasn't. I couldn't pay for a server, so I would just launch my own off my laptop, and I remember doing that so I could play with the friend. Like at that point, that was the time I went home to play with siblings, and I went, "Let's play this game. We're just going to mess around in it." And I installed it on their desktop at home, the family computer, and then I had it on my laptop so that I could be playing it. And that was when I realized I was like, okay, so you need multiple accounts. And that was when I bought my account. So it was several years later to that point where that happened. But anyway, the point is Minecraft has always kind of been there, except it's lost that appeal. It's very repetitive, it's very boring now, and you do the same things over and over, which is kind of the point, but there's not that much. I mean, every couple of years we'll pick it up on Xbox because that's where everybody plays, and it's not the same as it was. There's not that much to do that's different. It's kind of just the same game every time, and it can be fun for a bit, but then I lose interest very quickly because I realize I am just doing the exact same game and just playing with siblings, and that's fun, but it doesn't hold. The mod pack, the first time I downloaded that was many, many years ago. Again, same friend who introduced me to Minecraft, who would play Minecraft while we worked together. He was a coworker, and we would regularly play Minecraft. Like that was something I've probably talked about. Like he would come over and we would go get comics, and then we would come back and we would play Minecraft together. That was our weekly thing. And after a while, after we were playing it on the Xbox 360, after a while after that, we started playing it on PC because some of his college friends had set up a server. They rented a server to play on a mod pack called Feed the Beast. And that's where I got started, because that was like, whoa, this is like new Minecraft all over again. It has those elements, but it goes so far beyond that. And if you are looking at this that I'm playing and you're going, hey, that looks real different, there's so much to it. Yeah, that's why. It's just crammed full of mods. Um, and this one in particular, I like it because of that, because there's so much to do. I mean, like, there are quests, and each one of these has a tree of quests in it that I've been working my way through doing stuff, right? Like, this could last forever. If I were to pick one game to play for the rest of my life, it would be this Minecraft. It would be a modded Minecraft pack, because it is endless and there is so much you could do. But really, why I like to play it is it has brought back that creativity, that unknowingness of it being a fresh new game. Essentially, it is Minecraft, but there's so much more to it. Like, I've been going for 13 minutes just on Minecraft, which was not the point of today, so we will wrap this up very quickly. But anyway, it brought back that spark that I don't get from a lot of games anymore. Several of them, and just they don't have that spark, that new and interesting, feeling of playing a video game for the first time. And playing this stuff, the very first time I did it, made it feel like Minecraft was totally new all over again. And each subsequent time, I get to do more and more things. Like, look at what I have done here. I have set up, look at this. This looks insane, right? This entire thing is this is a thermal evaporation, which is taking in water from a sink over here to create brine, which goes into here and gets separated. The brine gets separated into sodium and chlorine, which chlorine then gets mixed with hydrogen to create hydrogen chloride, which then gets injected into here, into the raw ore that I pick up, in order to create shards. And then the shards become, what is it? Clumps. And then the clumps go through and become dust, dirty dust, and then the dust gets smelted into the ingots that come out here. And it's insane, right? Like, I've done all of that following along through these quest things. And the reason you do all that is that instead of just putting one ore into a furnace and you get one ingot, this is up to the point where you can get 3 for 1 ore, because it adds those extra steps in, and you have to transport all of these different cables, or it's a whole thing. And it's so much fun to play around with and stuff like this. I've lost so much time. I mean, 2.5 days is, more than 50 hours that I've put into this, and I just play this on the weekends. I don't play it during the day. I don't play it anytime else. I usually set up, if I don't go out, like last weekend, I played it every morning, 3 days in a row for my 3 days off, and I play for 4 or 5 hours at a time, sometimes more. A lot more on, was it Sunday last weekend, I think it was, because I really just fell into it and lost lost track of time and went, oh boy, it's like halfway through the day and I've done nothing but play Minecraft and watch multiple seasons of Parks and Recreation, or I just kind of have them on in the background. So it's a lot of fun, and that's something that I've really enjoyed doing, is playing this game. So I thought, hey, I really want to play it anyway. Might as well do that while I'm recording. But the point of this was to catch up on the personal things. So I finished Hogwarts, I finished Man in the High Castle, and I started watching Breaking Bad as my regular show. And I also have been working on World War II documentaries. Surprise, watching Man in the High Castle, a fictional show about what would have happened if the Axis powers had won World War II, is fascinating to me. And I don't really know a lot about World War II or anything there because my homeschool education did not have really anything, any part of the modern history. We got a lot of ancient history, I remember that, but there really wasn't much learning done there. So I have a very big blank spot in my history learning for World War I and II. And it's something that I got into a few years ago as well. I bought a Blu-ray disc set of a documentary series that I, from what I could find online, was, regarded very highly, and that made me go, great. I would be totally interested in learning more about this that I don't know. And so that got me started on it, and then I dropped off for a while, and then watching the fictional side of it makes me want to learn. So I've already watched one documentary series that I found on YouTube, and I've got several more lined up. I'm going off the recommendation of one of my siblings who is very into it and has a lot of knowledge on that kind of stuff and a lot of books, and is recommending, we're kind of starting with overviews of a timeline of what happened, because I know literally almost nothing about it except for what I pick up from pop culture, which is not always right. Surprise, Inglourious Bastards, while a good movie in my opinion, maybe not the most historically accurate, considering it literally is a work of fiction. So anyway, that's something that I've been up to, catching up on the personal side of things. I've been doing that whenever I have time. I've been watching Breaking Bad, and I finished Hogwarts Legacy, so the next video game for me I have not picked yet to really focus on. I've just been playing Elden Ring because I really enjoy Elden Ring. I'm trying to get somebody to play it with me because I want to play through it again. And it's just so much fun to play with someone, especially when I know enough that I can just keep my mouth shut and be like, let's experience this on your terms, and I'm just kind of here to help. And that's really how I wound up playing through a lot of the Dark Souls games. So much fun. But Minecraft is a lot easier for me to record. Otherwise, I'd probably be playing Elden Ring. We're just running around killing things. So that was that side of things. That's pretty much what I've been up to personally outside of the wildlife stuff. But to kind of bring it back around to the wildlife stuff, I received a question yesterday. And I saw that and went, oh, this will be great. I was thinking about recording this stuff anyway, and this just happened to work out timing-wise. I will have to edit this in order to put it on the screen at 18 minutes into the video. I hope I remember that when it comes time to edit this. I guess I will edit it right after. But the question came from John, I think. It was a question on the YouTube channel, which was, how did you get started? And that's a fair question, because I think I've talked about it a little bit here and there, but I've never really gone into the full thing, because before I started making videos, I was writing things. I was writing a blog, and writing is not a strong suit of mine, neither is talking, but it's what I do. And what I continue to do every once in a while, but it's not nearly as much. And I don't blame people. There's a lot to go read because I was doing it for several years. So rather than vaguely hint about it with that kind of stuff, I'll just run through very briefly kind of how we got to this point here, right? In 2014, I bought a camera. I was making videos with a friend of mine. We were co-workers, and The same friend who introduced me to Minecraft, the same friend who I bought comics with, the same friend. Like, I basically had one friend for the most part, one real honest to God friend. And so that we did a lot together and got each other jobs. So that, wait, did he ever get me a job? I got him a job where I worked, which is how we wound up spending so much time together, because we worked side by side 40 hours a week, roughly. Anyway, we started making videos because we were very interested in that. We watched people on YouTube, we watched videos, we had ideas. I think the first one started from the fact that we were entertaining ourselves while we were bored at work, and so we started looking up, the very first things were looking up superpowers off of the superpower wiki, and randomly, they had a randomizer on there, so you could just roll up a random power. And so I roll one, and he rolls one, and then we have a logical debate about who would win in a fight to the death with those powers. And that became a way to pass the time and something fun. And then we went, hey, we could record this and make it on the internet as a video series. And that's where we started. And so we start recording those kind of videos, and then it spreads out into just recording random videos here and there, especially a lot of us playing video games. We were making Let's Play videos. Like, there's a whole channel of that stuff that still exists. Some of that's really good. A lot of fun. But at some point, we were using... What camera did we start with? I think we just used the crappy little camcorder that my dad had. This was a mistake to make here. And at some point I went, well, I can make an upgrade. Let's do this a little bit better. I can get something that is more quality. And I bought a Canon Rebel T3i, which has another name as it turns out. Oh, this sucks. Not gonna stay in here. So I bought a camera, a DSLR. That was the first one I ever bought. I bought it in 2014 for almost $500. A lot, but I don't think I got it used, because it came as a kit with like a bag and everything. It wasn't brand new, so I definitely bought it used with the kit lens and some other things like batteries and stuff. But that was the first time, and so I start playing around with a DSLR. Take care of these. That was the first time that I started playing with a DSLR, a real camera. I'd had a camera, and this was something that I talked about on the blog, but like, I'm just kind of overviewing here, right? First time I really had a camera, first time I really got to play around with one, I was like, this is fun and interesting and different. And then we used it to record videos. I took some pictures here or there. I remember taking pictures of a tree that fell from a lightning strike. And it basically got put away and not touched again for a long time. And then at some point, I quit my job. I was miserable. I quit my job. I moved back into my dad's basement. And I was watching, he had a bird feeder out the window. And I was watching the birds feed. And I went, this is cool. And I started taking pictures with that DSLR of the birds outside. And that was really fascinating to me, to be able to see something up close that you wouldn't normally be able to, like with my eyesight, I don't have very good distance eyesight. Like, I can see fine. They gave me glasses at one point, but I really only need them to be able to read signs at a distance. And it's not that bad. It's just distance-wise, I can't see all that well. Is that far-sighted or nearsighted? I don't remember. But the point is, that was really neat to me. You don't get to see birds up close. You shouldn't, really. Ornithologists do when they know what they're doing, and they do that to, you know, not try them. But for the most part, you don't really get to, as a normal, just general person, get all that up close with birds. You don't, it just doesn't happen. So you don't get to see that kind of thing. And birds have always fascinated me. And that's where it really started, is I started taking pictures of birds. And then it dropped off again for a long time, which is a pattern you may notice. As I've talked about a lot in my personal life, there were many, many a project that I would start and not finish. I started writing a book at one point. I've had several ideas for stories that I hold on to just in case I ever go, well, what if I ever, you know, if I just release it one day, that'll be something, and I'll just go, here, somebody else do something with this, because I clearly never will. That I think about that from time to time, but the point is that I start things and don't always finish them, which is why I'm hesitant to spend a ton of money on something until it got to this, which is really where everything started coming from, because I realized, hey, this is something that I enjoy doing, and I'm doing it more. Not it wasn't a fleeting thing like everything else, where I would start a series recording myself, and I was doing that. When did I start that? I have my notes here. History. October 25th, 2014. I came up with the name Waft. UWOFT. It meant nothing. I just needed some word that wasn't taken in order to start a YouTube channel. And this was after I talked about it. My friend and I were making videos. We had our own YouTube channel, right? But we dropped off on that. He got busy going into school, and I wasn't as funny as I thought, and it didn't really work out, put it that way. We stopped making videos. It was a fun time, but eventually we had to get more serious about what was happening, and we stopped. And after a while, I started doing it on my own. And that was in 2014 that I came up with that, right? And I remember making a couple of starting projects that I dropped off on after I owned a website. Because I came up with the name, I bought the website, I made a YouTube channel. It wasn't all at the same time. I think it was after that. But in 2015 is when I moved in to my dad's, right? And that's when I took pictures of birds for the first time. I have that stuff. I know those dates because I can look back to the first time I created an email address and made a website. I can look at the first photos I ever took because they're date stamped, right? They have that metadata on there, so I can see that kind of stuff. And I will put a link in the comments to the blog posts where all of this started, because I go into way more detail there, but it would take a really long time to go through it, and I've already done it once, right? It's there if you want to go read about it and hear that kind of stuff. But I created a website, and I started making videos for myself, or just by myself, and they didn't last too long. I don't think I actually started recording myself. I was always kind of hesitant to start recording just me playing a video game. Us playing a video game was fine, my friend and I, because there was a back and forth to it. I grew up watching people playing video games, basically, and doing that stuff. And they're very funny, and, most people are professionals that I was watching doing that who do it for a living. But they can banter back and forth really well. And so I was always like, well, I don't have that. And I'm not interesting enough to just open my mouth and start talking and make it, engaging that other people would want to watch. Something that I still don't think is true to this day, but I do it anyway, with whether or not anyone's watching. I'm doing it for myself, and that was really the changing point later on. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. I don't think I started making videos playing video games until later on. They still exist, but they're all privated because they're not the point of this. This is really the first time that I have even attempted or thought about recording myself while playing a video game. And I'm surprised that it came to this, to be perfectly honest, because I always expected that would not be the case. I put a pin in that going, well, I tried and I didn't, right? It was interesting, but what I wound up finding more interesting was less of me talking and more of my reactions to playing a video game for the first time. And so that was always something that I noticed, where I was like, well, I went back and forth on it a lot, and I'm not making a whole lot of sense because it never really made sense to me. It was something that I thought of, and I went, well, I can record myself playing a video game, but then I have to try to keep up a running commentary, and it's not always that interesting. Fair enough. So I stopped doing that, and then the last thing I ever recorded was me playing through the second South Park game, and I didn't try. I was just quiet. There was no camera or anything. It was just my audio and then me recording the gameplay. And I did not make an attempt, because from the get-go, I was like, I'm going to do something different. I'm just going to record this for my reaction, because I think this will be interesting to me one day to look back on. And that never even went public. I probably never will because it's not really meant for a public viewing. I put literally no effort. It was quiet and then me laughing sometimes, and I would ponder aloud, but I did not in any way try to keep up a running commentary or, any kind of typical Let's Play behavior. And that was really interesting to me because I stopped trying to make something. At that point, I was still trying to make things that other people would watch, and I stopped trying at that point, and I just made something for me, and I went, that's cool. And then I branched out into record and making uh timestamps. No, not timestamp. What am I trying to time lapsed of me building just from the top of my head with Lego. That was something interesting that I hadn't done before. I did a couple of videos of those before I lost interest, but now we're around the point, I have a YouTube channel, I have a website. Um, I think the only thing that I put on the website, started writing a blog at one point, but it was completely personal, and so I deleted all that because at that point that wasn't the point of what I was trying to do, and I think I was just using it as a place to vent. It was very negative. There was a lot of me just complaining. And I've tried to maintain not doing that in many different ways because I don't want to be that person. That's not how I want to live life, is to just be complaining or negative. So I try to avoid doing that. But at that point, we're talking, back to my notes here, talking about May of 2018. Several years later, I have a website that I've been paying for. Thankfully, not much every month, but I own a website. I have a YouTube channel that just sits there unused. And I took pictures of birds at one point. And in summer, May of 2018, something got in my head. And I think it was because of the job that I was working. I was doing a job where I can't talk about it too much, NDA, and I don't want to, but I was working with my brother, who was a professional photographer, is kind of backs and forth and things like that, but went to school for it and then worked as a photographer for a very long time and did the photography for this company that we worked for. And at some point, he would just take the pictures and then someone else who did a different department would edit them. Um, was how it started to happen, and then that person quit, and I took over their job, and so that's how I got into the side of things. I'm trying to be vague. I learned how to edit photos at that point, and I also would help him take photos because it was essentially product photography of items, and there would always be there was reflections that we had to deal with and things like that. And he started kind of teaching me the basics, and I started picking things up and asking a lot of questions while I was helping him hold poster board to reflect the light in different ways and to try to keep the reflections off of the items that we were taking pictures of, that he was taking pictures of. And then he taught me how to edit them. And so that was really the first time where I was like, okay, this is interesting. And we started talking more about it. He started explaining how cameras worked. The very basic understandings of how cameras work. This is really interesting. I have a camera. I've got a DSLR that I barely touched. I recorded a few videos with it. I take pictures here and there, break it out at some family events or something like that. I remember taking it with us when we went horseback riding. By we, I mean the family went horseback riding, and I just took pictures. So we have, photos of that. And then something clicked in there, and I started going, well, this is interesting. I like taking pictures. This is a cool feeling. I like being able to take the picture and see that, like, photography as a whole started interesting me. And then I went outside and I took pictures of some landscape, and more specifically, I started taking pictures of the birds because I remember doing that years before and thinking that was interesting. And then it started all of this. I did that. I don't remember how long I was doing that before I realized this is going to be a thing that I keep coming back to. It may have been throughout the whole summer. I don't remember when the first post was on the website. Matter of fact, I can look that up if I take off full screen so that I don't go sharing my entire internet. Let's go back on my website here and take a look. This has changed so many times over the years, this website, how I What is the first one? What was the first blog post? December 11th of 2019. Wow, was it that long after? Really? Does that? Yeah, I guess so. I didn't realize that. I didn't make a note of that. So I bought a camera in 2014. I started taking pictures in 2015. Nothing happened. The horseback riding was in 2017. Again, this is my website. It's literally just quaff.com. And if you want to go read through their blog posts throughout this entire thing, May of 2018, I bought a telephoto lens. And yeah, no, it was 2018. I went and took pictures. I went to a small airport and took pictures. I started taking pictures. We went to the Atlanta Zoo. I lived in Georgia. I did all this stuff. So I didn't realize that. All right, back to the game. I did not realize the timeline there of how long it was from when I first started really taking pictures to when I started recording that. I was just doing that for a year and a half. From summer of 2018, when I started taking pictures and going out with a camera. That was the point. Up until that point, anytime I'd taken a picture with the camera, it was secondary to whatever we were doing. It was, we were recording videos to put on the internet, and so I needed a camera for that. That wasn't pictures, but that was me using the camera. It was me taking pictures of a thing, an event that we were doing, something like that. In May of 2018 was the first time that I just grabbed a camera and I went outside and I went, this is what I'm doing, this is my focus. And I just went and took pictures. I'm genuinely shocked because I didn't realize it was that long. I figured it was a couple of months between when I went out purposely to take, I don't really have a good term for that, but you know, more purpose driven of this is the activity that I'm doing, this is the hobby. And then when I started writing about it, because when I started writing about it was when I realized I was like, this is interesting. This is something that I could see myself doing in the long term. This is not a hobby that has dropped off, and I can share my experiences and I can track myself with this, with what I'm doing. And so I started writing a blog about the photos, about the experiences, remembering what it was, where I go, what I'm seeing, what I'm doing. It was because of that, and I didn't realize it was a year and a half after I started doing that. Man, that is a long time. So I got through a backlog of that stuff, and then it started becoming, it wasn't it was still a few years before I would decide to try to do this as a career that I'm still working my way towards over the last, well, 2 years. It's been more than 2 years. It was 2021 when I started this. I think it was 2021 when I went, okay, I've been writing a blog now for 2 years. I guess I need to do something different. I just realized that. I spent I spent a year and a half taking pictures. Then I started writing a blog, and I did that for 2 years, from December 2019 until December 2021, and then in December or 2020, January 2021, maybe not quite 2 full years. But at that point, I went, I'll turn on a video camera and talk into it instead of going home and trying to write, because my writing's not the strongest. And now we're full 2 years after that. In March of 2023, it has been more than 2 years of me going out, trying to find wildlife with a camera, trying to find wildlife, having a camera there to record it and capture the experience, and then making videos about it as opposed to writing about it. I wonder what I can change it up. What's my next medium? I've started kind of doing audio only, but that's not related to the wildlife stuff. That's literally me just rambling off of literally anything in my head. I said literally twice there. I gotta change it up. That's what I've decided. I have to change it up in some way. Maybe I can get a 3D camera and start recording everything in 3D. Maybe that'll be my next. It's still kind of recording. It's not, I don't, what's the next leap between writing stories to telling stories on camera and showing the stories? The next one's virtual reality, actually. You have to come along with me. You I have to get a VR experience. I have to build. I have to build a virtual landscape in order to go out and see wildlife with, and then have people come alongside with me. That's the next thing. And then 2 years after that, I somehow have to top it again. Okay, so none of that's gonna happen. But that was the story. That's where I started. I started by just taking a camera that I had for a completely different purpose and going, what if I took pictures of birds? And then years later, I went, well, what if I took pictures of these things that interest me? I'm interested in planes. That was one of the things that started it. And then years later, it was, well, what if I just went out with a camera to document what I see and do and look for wildlife? Because wildlife is very interesting. I'm not really interested in people all that much. Over the years, I've been doing this now since I had a camera. I still, I mean, even back then, I don't remember what year it was, maybe 2018 or 2019. It must have been 2019 after I started doing that stuff. I did get hired for a job where I took photos for friend of significant other, friend, that stuff, who had an Etsy shop. And I took pictures of the products that she was making, calligraphy. And so that was really the first time that I did. It wasn't a paid, but that was really the first time that I did like a job, a gig. I took pictures with a purpose for someone else. And I was not interested. I knew very much from, again, my brother who taught me everything, who talked about all this stuff, who was a wedding photographer, a sports photographer, did it professionally as a career for years and years. And then as a secondary income for an even longer period of time. And that's kind of where it started. I mean, the point of that, I lost my train of thought. So it does happen while I'm playing the game, but I don't think I was actively doing anything in the game, so maybe that doesn't count. The point there was that he did those things. I'm not interested in sports. Sports don't interest me. I don't care. But wildlife does interest me. Birds interest me. And so I knew that I did not want to wind up taking pictures of people. I don't mind taking pictures of things, but I will never, even throughout all the stuff, I do actively have a side income as a professional photographer now. I do, excuse me, burp on camera. I do make videos for myself as a hopeful way to make into a career later on, basically, is the best way I can put that. But I'm not really professionally doing it or anything like that. But I've shot video professionally. I've been paid for it. I've done product photos professionally and been paid for it. This all started because I learned from my brother, who did things like that. I will never shoot a wedding. I know that. I know the stress of it. I am fine with the lower stress things. I'm not interested in challenging myself. I have no desire to do it, and I have no interest in it, so I know that I wouldn't do the best of jobs. I explored that. I've shot real estate. I went, hey, I need to build up my portfolio, and so I did while I lived in Wyoming. I went and took pictures of a house for a real estate company that was there, and I did it pro bono so that I could get the portfolio. I could expand my portfolio, because I thought, well, that's something that I'm at least, more comfortable doing. You can't, the reason, the stress, I don't want to mess it up. I already put so much onto myself where you only get one shot with wildlife most of the time. It's there, it's gone. That's for me. I don't want to have to do that in a way where, like, the understanding is that you have to get it done, right? In a wedding, you get one shot. Weddings already don't interest me. The concept of marriage, that's a whole thing, a topic for another video. But as it is, I don't want that one-time stress of doing that. I've talked to professional photographers. I not just my brother. I remember talking with multiple over the years and things like that. And that's something that they agree and had to overcome it, of the stress of, like, well, you just do the best that you can. You eventually get more used to it. Yes, you start out as going, ugh, but then you get used to it when you can go, well, I've nailed so many other photo shoots before, so I can do this again. That's not me. I don't want a high-stress job. I like the relaxation of what I have, and I what I'm doing, I know at the end of the day, if I don't see any wildlife like I didn't on Saturday, I've seen it before. It will happen again. It just won't be today. And I have to talk myself to that point again, because I bummed myself out like I did on Saturday, where I was a bit dejected by not seeing anything, even though I was really hoping to. But look at how many other times, especially like just this year, in the last, since I've moved here, I've had a lot more struggle finding wildlife in Colorado. There hasn't been as many opportunities here in the Rocky Mountains, and then everything kind of moved away come winter, and then the snow set in. So there hasn't been as much, and I struggled to find something. And that's why I keep going back to the same place time and time again, because I have seen wildlife there consistently. And so even though this weekend didn't work out, I know next weekend, provided the snow, if it's not snowing, I know next weekend will be better. So that was my long, rambly answer of how I got started. I very much appreciate the question. I thought I might be able to do that a little bit quicker because I also picked out another one from the batch of questions that I answer in the personal vlog in order to start topics of conversation and kind of, talk about myself in a way, because I don't have that. I never really thought about that, but I guess I do that because I still consider what I think to be better videos is usually when there are two people talking, so that there is a banter back and forth. And because I don't have that in any capacity for these videos that I make, I force the issue by looking up questions, looking up a list of questions that then I answer in order to generate conversation. I guess I'm having a few epiphanies today, or realizations of why I'm doing the things that I do without being aware of that's why I'm doing them. So that's interesting. But yeah, that'll be it, because it's already been 47 minutes of recording, which is longer than I meant for it to be, but hey. I make what I make, and I am not apologetic for it. For a change. I will just do what it is I'm going to do, and it will be what it will be. I'm trying to wrap this up in some profound way, and I have nothing. Bye-bye. Thank you for the question, John. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that you like the videos. I by all means, if anyone else would like to ask a question, you can email me directly. Put my email sometimes. It's on the website as well. I have a website. You can reach out to me, contact me there. YouTube is a good place. I don't always respond to comments with things like that, but I try to when I can. And I am trying to make more of an effort to answer questions here, because that's literally the point of these videos. Email, YouTube. I don't check any social media or anything like that. Comments on the YouTube, but that stuff, direct messages, anything like that. If you have a question that you, for some reason, are interested in me answering, by all means, please ask it, and I'll do my best. And until next time, I still don't have a sign off.